Hello, it's Renee Kannitz here, and I'm just going to explain this resource that I've created. This is to go along with lesson 4 in the assignment. So lesson 4 is one of the lessons that I came up with. It's on area and shape, and it comes as a support from the book that we chose, Perfect Square. So I'm just going to explain to you how you would use this. I've pre-recorded just an example of how you would go through all the steps of teaching. Just before I click on that and start, I'll just show you the tabs that I've created. Now these are just teaching points that you would use for the children. So what is the area of the shape? Measure using the square units. So these are the units that we are using down the bottom, the pink and yellow squares. Okay, and then the second tab, this is one to be used after the children go through a couple of exercises with using the area and getting used to the square units. So this one is what math strategy can you use to find out how many units will fit into the shape. So this is when area comes in and it goes across the math strands into multiplication. So I'll just show you where I was able to cover this up. So the children will come up with what strategy they could use, and the answer is they would use skip counting because that is their early multiplication skills that they are working on. Okay, so I will go and start the clip. It might move through fast in some areas, but just to show you how it would work. Yep, so starting off with just a simple square, simply putting in the units. Children would then use their one-to-one correspondence to count each one and then put the answer down in the answer box to the right. And when the children are interacting with this, they can come up to the smartboard and use it themselves. So they can, I've put the square centimetres as infinite clones, so they're able to be dragged up and placed along the grid. Okay, so in the squares we're just working on whole units. You can extend this further by putting a triangle over the grid or a pentagon or any other 2D shape that the children are familiar with. And then you can bring in the concept of part units. So, yep. And this is when I would bring in the second tab after the children have got the hang of using the units to overlay on the grid to find the area. So this is when they bring in their mathematical thinking of reasoning how they would strategize this. So skip counting is the answer that they would use. Okay, so I've grouped these into two lots, so they'll be skip counting by twos. So they'll count along 2 yellows, 2 pinks, and then in the second row 2, 2, and then keep adding them up as they go. Okay, so some of the children that you'd be extending for, you'd be able to just ask them to just visualize before they actually count it out. So they'll be estimating and yeah. So this is when you can see the skip counting coming in. So the children wouldn't necessarily have to write the numbers. They can just be following the teacher pointing out, skipping along on the board, counting along all together. And if some of the children are having difficulty grasping this on the board, you can give them a grid in front of them, and they can use little square counters to lay over the grid, just like we're doing on the board. So that's for the children that needs a little bit more hands-on for their learning. Okay, and then that's it.